My daughter-in-law said that after she read my stories, she said that we seemed like superheroes to her, like the Avengers. And I laughed and I said to myself, in a way, we were. It's like, if you think about it, I mean, this group of people that banded together to do a job that no one else could. Um, and then do it well. And we were young. I mean, it is something out of a fable. I'm pretty sure no one thought that we'd be successful or we would last more than a couple of years before the streets would just chew us up and spit us out. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rodney Dukes. I'm from the second class of police for the Chicago Housing Authority Police Department. I was born and raised in the city of Chicago. I was raised in public housing, and that was the primary reason why I decided to become, or at least to apply to policing. I'm an artist right now. I'm a portrait artist, costume creator, and of course, author now. I've always been a creative, and my mother tried to encourage me to do more with it, but because we were poor, I was always looking for a way to get money legally. I was always looking for a way to make things better, and I didn't trust in my talent. Because of that, I applied to American Academy of Art and did a 10-week course at the same time that I had applied for the police department, and decided that whichever one of these pans out first is the direction that I'm going to go in. CPD called, and I took the first exam, passed it, took the physical, easily passed it, and Christmas Eve of '90, was in the academy with a lot of you, and we started our journey together. I had no idea of what we would face, but I understood, because being a Marine, that when you have that type of occupation, there's always a possibility for you to be hurt or lose your life in the service of other people. And I openly and willingly took on that challenge. And I think I was lucky to be working with so many people who were like-minded, that understood their purpose in that uniform, and also the sacrifice. My FTO, as wrong as he was on so many things, I really and honestly believe that if he was not the person that he was, had us out there doing the things that he was trying to do, that I wouldn't have been able to cope. It was almost like a baptism by fire, that being in the situations we were with him helped me to walk into other situations and be ready to go, because I had experienced it already. There was a time when I used to regret that I didn't have that work spouse, have that, like a lot of you, you got a partner within your first or second year on the job, and that was the only person that you worked with until the end of CHA, unless that person called off sick, and then you picked up an extra person. I used to be a little bitter that I didn't have any long-time partners. I had Wayne and Alicia, Damone for a hot second. I really loved working with Damone, but all of a sudden he disappeared on me. He dipped. But I had Johnny Taylor. I had Ladora. We fought like a married couple. I love Ladora. We fought like a married couple, but she was probably my longest partner. I would say my most fun partner was Alicia. We would drive around in the car and be singing. Me and Bogarty, oh my God. But me and Bogarty would ride around, because we had real radios, inside of our cars, unlike CPD, they couldn't have like the regular radio stations, but we would like be playing like Star Wars music while we were on patrol. You could tell we were like 25 or 26-year-olds. Sam, working with Sam. Oh, working with Reggie. I'm sitting here searching this dude, and he's crying. Like when this dude got tears in his eyes because I'm touching him, and then find out that Reg had told the little knuckleheads before I started going through him that I was secretly gay. They felt like they was being molested. This dude started crying. I'm like, you bastard. Yeah, I didn't tell that story, but it was just I couldn't remember what we were doing, other than just doing walk and talks, for that situation to come up. But I mean, there's so many times that I can recall of just a funny incident, that it's just kind of hard to figure out how to string that into a story, because like I said, I prefer to tell truth. And I mean, it's like you can get it wrong, you could even forget how something went, but I didn't want to just start, weaving fantasy, but I had so many good times with so many people that I was probably lucky, not to be, spoused up, with one person my entire time on the street. I think I did most of the things that I wanted to do. For a minute, I thought I wanted to work tag, because everybody, I mean, I just felt it was a stepping stone, for different things that you could do with the department. But it didn't happen, and I think I would have had a problem with some of the deception that's involved in gaining confidence in people. I think I'm a little bit, too straightforward to properly execute that. I mean, that skill to be able to make people feel comfortable and for them to open up and just tell you all their secrets, to show you all their dirt, and then say, gotcha. It's just not, I don't think it's who I am. But I served in the way that I wanted to serve. And I learned some lessons. I mean, like one night, I ended up being assigned to work a car with Johnny Taylor. It was the one time we worked together, and she was standing at the desk, and she was saying something about relationships and men, and how men are no good and blah blah blah. And I said something slick. I don't even remember what it was, but it's like, of course, I totally rebuffed, what she was saying. And then when we were on patrol, she was like, I'm driving. I'm like, whatever, I don't care. I was like, I'm probably not going to get any activity tonight anyway. And so we're driving, and I'm thinking, like, we're going to our area of patrol. And she's like taking these little turns, and she cut down the fire lane down by the Dearborns, and I want to say it was like an old hotel and a factory. I can't remember what street that was, but it was like as you're going towards Cermak on Federal. And she pulled up behind this building and then into like this nook, and it's like the fear started coming over me, and she turned off the engine to the car, and I was like, should I unstrap? It's like, I need to unsnap my pistol. What's going on? And she started saying, let me tell you something. She started telling me, basically calling me out for being young and not knowing nothing about relationships and about women. And I sat there and I listened to every word she said, because I said, she got me over here off in the dark. Ain't nobody gonna believe my story if she shoot me. Anyway. I just had so many different experiences working with so many different people. And as much as I want to run wild and get into the griminess, 24/7 every time I came on the street, maybe there were lessons that I needed to learn just about being a person, a better person, that occurred through these different partnerships. So now, in retrospect, I'm thankful for it. Like I mentioned one story, which of course in my book I changed the names of people because of permissions. But my second to last homicide was with Barbara Laughlin, and walking into that crime scene, I wasn't ready. I just wasn't ready, and as stinky as it was, as grimy as it was, she had full composure and she took total control of that scene, of that crime scene. And while I had to step out and then be confronted with the emotional toll of the job when a loved one, shows up and finds out that something is wrong. They're not sure exactly of what it is, but something is wrong. And to have the weight of another person's emotions on you too was tough. It was tough, but I had a good partner that day. Maybe, maybe I could have been a little bit more help, could have been stronger. But I mean, we all have our moments. And I definitely, if I didn't appreciate her before then, which I did, I feel that I have had nothing but the most respect for the females on our department, because they did everything we did, and the expectation was that they were supposed to. I mean, not getting into gossip or anything like that, but I mean, we had some that, they'd rather run through the building with with gasoline draws and their ass on fire instead of going patrol. I'm going to have to cut that. But they were few. They were few and far in between. You had officers like Andrea Logan, Sandra Baptist. They were not to be messed with. Tanya Dumas. Wow. Alicia Burt. All the in my opinion, all of the women on the department were able to meet the day if they were put in that situation. And yeah, we were lucky in that way to have so many hard charges, regardless of sexual orientation, religion, or racial background. I never wanted to be a cop. I never dreamed that I would ever have this occupation. Not because it was somehow unworthy. It just wasn't something I ever dreamed about. It was something that came to mind at a time when I was struggling for identity, when I was trying to figure out what my next step was, and thinking about the options open to me because I didn't have higher education. I mean, most of us became police officers back before college was something that was added to the equation. If you could pass the aptitude and the physical test, they would teach you the rest of it, and the streets would prove whether or not you were worthy. When I started writing the book, I thought about all of the things that came into play when I made that decision. The reason I became a police officer with CHA is because of my childhood, the times that I had living in public housing, which were mostly positive. I got smacked around, I got beat up by kids, and it's just the nature of living in an environment with a bunch of different people and different personalities. But most of my memories of public housing, growing up in Ogden Courts, playing on the west side in Henry Horner, um, over in Abla, and I even had a cousin that had an apartment over in Cabrini Green. My family was spread across the city in different housing developments, and it was just the norm to me. When I went away, when we moved from public housing, I came back to visit a couple of times, and those were the first time that changes were evident. Like upkeep of the property, attitudes of people, had slightly changed. But I was one of those who belonged to one of the original families, and even though I was older, everyone recognized me. So I still wasn't an outsider. It wasn't until I returned as an adult to patrol public housing that I could see how much things had changed and felt like it wasn't the place that I remembered. But it also reinforced my feelings that we were necessary, that we were needed to help them. I don't think I would have applied for the Chicago Police Academy to patrol the city the way that I did with public housing. I had a personal stake in the self-sacrifice that I felt was necessary to patrol there. All of us know how dangerous it was. Far more dangerous than the media let on, and far more violent than CPD put their efforts in to quell that crime. And the first class of CHA police came out there serious, risking everything, to make this department viable, to help it to grow, and for it to be what it became. And once we hit the street, the second class of police, we gave them the numbers that they needed to accomplish a lot of the tasks that we got done, and that helped us to grow, for other classes to come along, for our leadership to grow, all of these positive things to basically make it into an environment where kids could actually play without risk of death, and where people could have some sense of comfort. I'm trying to remember who said it. It might have been Sergeant King that said, no, matter of fact, I think it was Sergeant King in that last conversation he had with us before graduation. He said, you supply short-term solutions for lifelong problems. And that stuck with me. I mean, even in positions I've had since leaving law enforcement where I've been a part of leadership, that's how I've approached my relationships with my employees, my relationships with people who came to me with complaints, and just trying to be of service to people. Is understanding that I can't fix everything, but I can address the thing that's their concern right now. Writing this book was important to me also because for any of you that know me, my mother suffered from and passed from dementia. And after my mother was diagnosed, we found out that my grandmother was also sick and had been sick for probably a decade before my mom. And she had Alzheimer's. And through further conversations, because sometimes family don't talk about issues like that, especially when it comes to mental health. My grandfather, my grandmother's dad, he also died from complications with Alzheimer's. So I was really concerned when my mom got sick and I started to learn all of these things, that this could be my fate, that the day could come when I don't know you and I don't even know myself. And all of the memories that I have, all the good times that I've spent, all the people that I've loved, for all of that to just go away. Being as close as I was to my mom, that led me to sit and reflect on a lot of good times we had together, a lot of the lessons she taught me, and that, sparked memories of, like, my childhood in public housing. Um, I remembered, funny things that happened in boot camp, and then, of course, a lot of the things that I wrote about working with you all for CHAPD. I didn't touch on everything because I feel like some stories are for individuals to tell. I wanted to remain, true to the essence of our department, but also not sugarcoat or blow my own whistle, toot my own horn, trying to pump myself up, because by no shape and form was I super cop. I tried hard, I worked hard, I cared, but there are plenty of you who were far better cops, and I learned a lot either through watching you or, just seeing how you carried yourself. I have a lot of love for you all, for people, you all in particular, and I've talked about us, I've talked about, individuals with people that I've encountered since I left you. One of the things that I used to say to my employees is, you don't realize that right now, like, you're irritated, you didn't want to come in today, or, you're not sure that this job is, this, you aren't really cut out for this job, or you don't want to be bothered with what's happening here today. But the moments that you have with your coworkers, the closeness, the camaraderie that you have when you work with a group of people, you may not ever get that back. You may not ever be in this situation again, or you may not ever have this group of people that you gel with, and you'll miss it. That's the one thing about, working for CHA that I miss is you all. I mean, just because you don't see me at reunions or I don't show up to events, it's not because I don't care. I don't live in Chicago for, like, I'd say for, like the last 10 years I've been closer, but I was like 6.5 hours away coming into the city, to, make sure that, my child, spend time with my mom and to see family. But it's like that driving, it's like, that was the turn off for me. If I was still in the city, every time you turned around, you'd be like, damn, who invited him? But anyway, I feel that we didn't get our due. I feel that lies in politics ruined a great thing. You don't have to constantly pat people on the back, oh, great job, or like, as I'm a Marine, so right now, people are like, thank you for your service, and it's like, that's not required. Looking out for your fellow person, looking out for your neighbors, family, loved ones, or just strangers, it's just something that should be natural. Signing up to defend my country was partially because I didn't feel like I had any other options professionally, but I care about people. And that's the same thing that led me to working for CHA. I cared about the public we were serving. I wasn't on some ego trip. I didn't want to hurt anybody. I just didn't want to see anybody get hurt. And if I had to be that person to stand up and stand in between someone else in danger, I did it. I think that that's something that's lost on recent generations of cops. They feel somehow that they're not supposed to get hurt, that death is not something that's waiting for them and putting on that uniform and that star. that that's not the expectation. Nobody is trying to die, but you have to understand there's a reason why police are needed. Violence exists, bad people exist, misguided people exist, sick people exist, and humans are violent. So if you're going to stop being the police, if you're going to pick and choose what neighborhoods you're going to serve, what people you're going to save, that's not policing. That's bias. There's so much to be proud of with our department, with individuals, with all of us, with our individual and personal things going on, for us to still show up every day through adversity and give the level of service the residents got, because they used to get nothing. To come in and do that job and to do it well and to do it with care and to see crime go down and to change people's lives, only for someone else to notice, oh, now that things are quiet, we can take over this property, knock it down, and do whatever we're going to do with it. To hell with these people and where they end up. There are so many things that just shouldn't be. If I could go back to the day that I found out that the Chicago Housing Authority was starting a police department, I know that I would still apply. I applied twice. I applied for the first class, and I should look for the letter, but I applied for the first class, and I'm pretty sure they were looking for people initially that had some law enforcement experience. And that's probably why you had such great people with the first class, because they were either corrections or they worked for other departments. And then I reapplied, and I was called back. No, I didn't have to reapply. Look at me, lying on video. No, I think what the letter said was that they put you on in like on hold in a bin or whatever, and then if they were to start another class, they would get in contact with you, and then they did just that. And yeah, my life changed. If it's been a while since someone has said thank you, I'm going to say thank you all for being the people that you were, for working as hard as you did, for all the heartache that you endured, every disappointment, for all your good work. I'll say thank you to you, because this is something that I'll always be proud of. Some people think that when I'm critical of police and critical of law enforcement right now, that, it's like, well, why is he being such a jerk? My expectations are high. Like I said, I wasn't super cop, but I tried. And there was nothing that I wasn't willing to do to make sure that not only I made it safe for other people, but that the people that I worked with were not compromised, that they weren't hurt, that they had somebody to have their back. Seeing how little this new generation of cops seem to be about doing their job, it's just hard to watch. I live in this beautiful neighborhood, a black neighborhood, and as beautiful as it is, as beautiful as this magnificent historic mile is that I live on, it's surrounded by neighborhoods where they're shooting and clowning, and it shouldn't be. This little pocket shouldn't be the only pocket. There is no reason why every other neighborhood shouldn't be like this. But the difference is nobody patrols. Nobody patrols. The only time you hear sirens or see lights is when there's something active going on. And it's easy for people to say, whatever, they're just, they're driving, they're working on something, and then you see them when they're zooming by. No, I could drive from one end of this damn city to the other end and not see one squad car. That's ridiculous. And I used to see the sheriffs more when you get on the interstate. Hardly see them. And maybe it has something to do with hiring. I have no idea. All I know is when the Kia boys are breaking in cars and doing donuts in the middle of the street down the block, or a couple of summers ago where this young man had this young lady at rifle point on her knees right up the corner. It's ridiculous. Like, where in the hell is the damn police? Policing is a way of life. It's not a job. It's not about, they got good benefits. People need to have someone stand for them when they can. It's an honor to wear that star, to strap on that gun, and to stand up for other people, and to treat them with respect.